right. Once again, you're most welcome for this afternoon discussion, which is comprising of P6 and P7. And I would once again say, let's enjoy it. Let's give out the science. My name is Gilbert Okello. I'm a teacher of science. And we are grateful to have this session done. So at this point, I welcome everyone to enjoy the science. Nothing much. Let me take this point to say that we as the Farm Found, we appreciate developing and raising these young learners to be confident and be contextual in message delivery and the knowledge. And so we are grateful to have this discussion. So at this very point, without wasting time, let me take this privilege to welcome the first group to come and discuss for us.
Thank you very much. This is Group A, and I am Aijuka Davin.
I am Tabitha Musimenta.
I am Abigail Priscilla.
I am Promise Kwagala.
And this is Group A. So now we are going to talk about the structure and the parts and also the functions of the human eye. So it has already been drawn. It was drawn before. And in the parts of the human eye, there are, as you can see, there are many parts of the human eye. Most of us, we just see the outside of the eye, but now we are going to talk about, this is actually an internal organ, so we are going to talk about the internal parts of this eye and the way it works. So I would like to start talking by this part, this one. It's called the eye lens. And this eye lens is used for, it's used like when you see something, you see how big or small it is. So this lens is used to see like the size of something. And you can add, and then we also have the ciliary muscles, which are here, even though they have not been named. And they are used to adjust the distance of it's actually a convex lens. So it is used to adjust the distance so that we can see things around us, the ciliary muscles. And it's used to adjust the lens. And then we have the iris.
The iris controls the amount of light that enters the eye.
Thank you. The iris is similar to the diagram on the camera, on the lens camera, but I'm not going to talk about that. But it's supposed to control the amount of light that is entering the eye. Mostly when you shine a bright torch into someone's eyes, most times they cover their eyes or they like blink or look away. And like the body cannot react that fast. So that's the use of this. It's to avoid a lot of light from entering the eye. And that's why when a lot of light enters your eye, now if you're in a bright place, then you go to a dark place, you first see light for a short time, then it continues reducing. And when you're in a dark place, by the way, the iris like widens. It widens to allow more light to enter the eye so that you can see more clearly in the dark. If you were to go in the dark and you get a torch and you shine light in someone's eyes, if they were to remain looking at the torch, you'd see that their eyes will now just start to like become smaller. And that's actually the iris. It's like trying to prevent a lot of light from entering. Because even if we need light to see, we don't need a lot of light. And then we have the cornea.
The cornea is a transparent part of an eye.
Yes, it's the transparent part of an eye, the outside part of the eye that normally all of us will see. Actually, even me, the first time I saw this diagram, the way it was bent like this, I was like, is our eye really like that? I thought that it was just a sphere. But actually, it's bent like that. That's what gives it the shape of an eye. If you look at someone from the side, when they're looking forward, you can see the eye, it's somehow bent. It's not straight or like a complete sphere. It's somehow bent on one side, and that's what gives the eye shape. And then we can talk about the central retinal artery and the central retinal vein. These are around here, okay? And when you hear the word artery, what do you think of? Most of us will think of oxygenated blood, and actually it's the arteries in the body that transports oxygenated blood to the body, which the entire process of respiration happens, energy is produced, used, and then when oxygen, like remember the oxygen is used, it's turned into energy. And then when it's used up, there is nothing else that we have. There's no more energy in the blood. So it's sent back through the central retinal vein. And when it's sent back, it is refilled, remember, in the kidneys. In the lungs. That's where exchange of gases happen. When we breathe in, when we breathe out. You breathe out carbon dioxide, you breathe in the oxygen. And that's how the oxygen enters the blood vessels. Then sent to the heart and pumped back to the body. Then moves all around the body and just continues coming back. That's why we call it blood circulation. It just comes here, goes, and comes back to the same place. Then just continues like that. So once it gets used up, it goes to be renewed, then comes back to give. So now we are going to talk about the conjunctiva.
The conjunctiva is a thin membrane that helps to protect the eye.
Yes, it helps to protect the eye. Similar to the eyelid. The eyelid also helps to protect the eye from dangers. The eyelid is the one that we see when we close our eyes. If any of you were to close your eyes, the skin that you see outside, it's the eyelid. And it's the one that's responsible for protecting the eye. Remember, it's an internal organ, and it's also delicate, very delicate. Because remember, it has the optical nerves. Those ones, we are going to talk about them. And that's why if you were to throw soil at someone, either they'll turn away and close their eyes, or some people just close their eyes. But even if I were to get soil and stand here right now and I throw it at your eyes, of course you'll have to close. There's no one who's going to lie to me that they're going to keep their eyes open. Because the body has the spinal cord, which is responsible for such. To protect us from danger, it produces something that's, I've forgotten the name. Adrenaline, yes. Adrenaline, then it helps us to react very fast. If someone were to scare you, you can really run. Even if I was standing at this corner and you're walking in, and like I scare you, in the next moment you would have run like half the place of the hallway. You would be very fast. First of all, you're scared. You don't even know what was there, but you heard a very loud noise and it startled you. So when that happens, your body reacts very fast, and it's the spinal cord that is in charge of that. Your brain does not have time to think. It's the spinal cord. It's like it takes over the entire body and just makes you run. If you were to hear a dog bark, most of you will move. There's a vibration. Also the same with thunder. When you hear thunder, the way it happens suddenly, you'll just shake, like just a little. But if you were to see something, now let's say that you're sleeping, you wake up, the moment you open your eyes like this, now you see something hanging on the window as if it's a person, the way you can jump really out of bed, or you feel something like a snake on your leg. So now I'm going to talk about the optic nerve.
The optic nerve is a sensory nerve that sends sight messages from the eye to the brain for interpretation of what we see.
Thank you very much. The optic nerve, now that's the one in charge of sending the image to the brain. When light rays enter through the eye and reach around here, remember, this is around here, the retina. And then the image is formed there. And then it is sent by the optic nerve to the brain for interpretation. And then once it is interpreted, it can tell you what you are seeing, or now the body reacts to what you've seen. And then we are also going to talk about the retina.
The retina is a layer in the eye that has sensitive cells. Sorry.
Yes, the retina has sensitive cells that's okay. Also, the convex lens is also used to refract light. And when it refracts light, it appears here, around here at the retina. Those sensory nerves or cells send it to the optic nerve, the optic disc, and then all just travels to the brain, comes back, right? So now I would like to talk about the pupil.
To reduce the amount of light entering the eye.
Correction. The pupil allows light to enter the eye. It's that space between the iris and the lens. This little space here, that's the pupil. And then the pupil is to allow light to enter. Remember, we have the iris to control the amount of light, but we also have the pupil that allows, because remember, we need the light to see. So the pupil allows the light inside and enables us to see. So now I'd like to talk about the vitreous and the aqueous humor.
Those are the fluids found in the eye.
Yes, they're the fluids found in the eye that also give it shape. Like when you look at the eye, the reason why it's like a sphere is because there's a liquid inside. If there was no liquid inside your eye, I'm just imagining an eye when it's flat. It's like a balloon. And it's filled with water, but this one helps us to see. But there's no balloon that helps us to see. I'm just describing the way it looks like. So now, it's filled with water. Sorry, not water. These vitreous and the humors. That liquid, it's in the eye so that, remember, the eye is an internal organ and it needs to remain moisturized. So, if your eye were to dry out, you would it becomes very hard to see. Have any of you done this game called the staring competition? Yes. So when you do a staring competition, you keep your eyelid open. And when your eyelid is open, the air, remember the air is dry. The air in the atmosphere, not all of it is moisturized. Maybe if you're walking in fog or something like that. But when you want to keep your eyes open, at this time, the air is very dry. And most of these foreign bodies that fly in the air can come on your eye. And that's what makes you to blink. Because remember, these parts, the eyelids, there's a place inside them. And it's full of, it's wet. That's how I can explain it. It's moisturized. So when you blink, you re-moisturize the eye. It's like these windscreen wipers on cars. Remember, it needs to remain dry so that they can see what is in front. And when a lot of drops come, they wipe them off and go back. Then when more drops come, they wipe them off and go back. That's how blinking is. But blinking, it's the opposite. It's the one that puts the liquid there. And when it puts the liquid there, it keeps our eyes moisturized. So that's all that we had to talk about the human eye. But before I go, I would like to explain that the brain is also a very important part of the body because most of it is the one that interprets. It interprets what we see. It also interprets like touch or feeling. That's the skin's job. When somebody touches you or cuts you or pricks you, you feel a lot of pain and it's the brain that responds.
We also have examples of sensitive cells that are found in the retina, and their examples are?
We have the rods and the cones, and the rods are sensitive to dark light and dim light, and the cones are sensitive to bright light, and daylight.
Thank you. So the cones are responsible for like they respond to daylight, or like in the morning when we are looking in this light, it's the cones that are responsible for helping us see in such light. But when it becomes night, it's the rods that help us to see in dim or dark, when there's little amount of light. So thank you very much. That's all.
Can we give them a very awesome hand clap? That was a very profound discussion. However, I would just love to add on to what they have already given you. That is what it means to start your science life, science journey. You know, it's not easy for someone to come and begin talking about the human eye. Some of you fear to stand here. But I'm grateful to that group. Thank you for being precise and deep. So we appreciate you for that. However, this is the human eye, and first of all, we know that the human eye is the organ that is used for sight, and it is protected by the skeleton, which we know as the eye socket. Are we together? That is where it is embedded and inserted. So, this is a structure of the human eye, and it is the internal structure. So the group 1 has given us some of the functions here. However, I would just precisely want to tell you some of the functions which are here. Others I will not touch because it has already been communicated to you. The eye is made up of these front parts. We have the anterior part and the posterior part. The anterior part divides this downwards, starting from the conjunctiva, and that is what is called the anterior part of the human eye. And then this side is the posterior side. The anterior means the frontal part of the eye, and posterior means the behind part of the eye. And these are some of the parts that makes up the anterior. We have the conjunctiva, aqueous humor, the iris, the pupil, the cornea, and the eye lens. The cornea basically is an organ that helps you to interpret different colors, especially when the light falls on it and after the refraction has occurred. It is the fact that will enable you to know that this one is green, this is this. And also other function is that it protects also, it adds some protective sheath to the inner part of the eye. Like for example, it is a membrane that is covering the iris, and that is covering the aqueous humor, that is covering the vitreous humor. All these, it also had some supportive protective function there. And we have this eye lens, and you know that's where refraction occurs. When light from the pupils reaches the lens, it is refracted, and it is refracted to this most sensitive part, which we call the retina, and that is where the image is formed. Are we together? So after refraction has occurred, actually this is the lens. First of all, the pupil is the one that allows that light to be refracted. And we said that how does the iris control the amount of light entering the eye? It does that by controlling the size of the pupil. So we have there the muscles that contract and relax. So when they relax, that means when they contract, that means the size of the pupil increases, and it allows much light to enter. When they relax, the size of the pupil decreases, and therefore the light which is also to be refracted is going to be less. Are we together? It controls the amount of light entering. It's similar to this part we call the diaphragm. Are we together? This is a lens camera. So we are going to see the group which will come will tell us some of the similar parts here that perform the function similar to this. And then allow me also to talk about the vitreous humor and the aqueous humor. These are the most fluid part of the eye. It keeps the eye moist. Are we together? So basically, the group 1 has told us what the part does. and I just want to, they also refract, they focus the light. This vitreous hammer and the aqueous hammer also focus the light after refraction to the retina. And now let me just maybe talk about the retina, optic nerves, and maybe these two blood vessels. We have the retina here. The retina has some nerves connections here. It is the most sensitive part of the eye where the image is formed. After the light has been refracted from the lens, the eye lens, of course it has a convex lens. So when the image, when this one sends the refracted light rays, so the image will be formed here. However, there is a relationship between the retina and the optic nerves. And these optic nerves has some connections that meets up with the retina. So when the image is formed here, what it does is that the image from the retina is going to be converted into what we call the electrochemical cells, the electrochemical impulses. And that impulses will not be sent to the brain like that. It again needs to be converted to nervous impulses. Are we together? So the nerve impulse is the one now that travels through the optic nerves. And these optic nerves transmit now these impulses to the brain. And when it reaches the brain has two sections, the anterior and the posterior section.
Basically,
so now the interpretation of this takes place in the part we call the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus has there some, the part we call the anterior pituitary gland. Of course, now we have receptors that are responsible for light. So now when these impulses reach the eye, the brain, it is therefore converted and it is brought back. So there is something that you needed to know, but not now, where we call the parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous transmission of light impulses. That one I will not talk about it now, but you will know it. So after that, it is therefore brought back, and you're able to see, you're able to know that this is putting on red and this, because of the interpretation that has taken place in the brain, and it is brought back. Otherwise, let's again give a very thankful hand claps to Group 1. Yes, it's becoming enjoyable and educative. In a special way, also, let's welcome Group B, the second group, to come and hammer us, come and nail to us. You're welcome. You can see they are so handsome and beautiful. These are our learners.
Good afternoon. This is Group B, consisting of William,
Leslie, Daphne,
and
Sarah.
And today we are going to talk about the tear glands and some functions of the iris. So first of all, what are the tear glands?
The tear glands are glands found under the eye, which help to secrete or produce a fluid which is made of sodium hydrogen carbonate, which helps to kill some bacteria and helps to express emotions.
Yes. So the tear gland produces tears, and these tears have two, should I say, enzymes? Well, they have two components in them: sodium hydrogen carbonate and sodium chloride. Those two components in the tears we have help to kill bacteria. Some bacteria. They kill some bacteria. These bacteria can come into our eyes like in any way, through dust particles, through the air through the water, or through anywhere. So those components of the tears, when you release tears, sometimes like when a particle of sand enters your eyes, you find yourself releasing tears. It's the eye trying to take care of itself. See, our body is very special. Also, the tear glands have some uses. They help us express emotions, like when you are sad, you cry. when you're happy, some people cry. Some people cry even when they're angry. I don't know. Some people. Next is the iris. The iris is a disc tissue. A simple illustration is like this.
The iris is a disc-shaped tissue which is opaque and which helps to regulate the amount of light that enters the eye. Let them illustrate for us.
So this is the human eye. The iris is down below here. And the iris has a few uses. It helps to regulate light. Like, let's say there's a lot of light. Like someone's touched a torch into your eyes. If this is a simple illustration. No, that's when it's blue. It's supposed to be small. Smaller. Okay. So if someone touches light into your eyes, this is how your eye is going to be like. This is the pupil, and this is the iris. The iris will expand to enable the pupil to become smaller to reduce the light that enters the eye, while when there's no light, like when it's dark, the iris becomes thinner or it decreases in size, it becomes diminished to enable the pupil grow wider and absorb more light. So that's what we had to discuss. Thank you.
Can we clap for them? So they have told us, they have talked about the tear gland, and they have also talked about the pupil. Just within a 60-second, let me nail this to you. In our eyes, we have the tears. We have the tear gland. Are we together? The eye has got a tear gland that is responsible for the production of tears. And they have said that tears help us to express emotions. But now scientifically, we want to look at what does the tears that we need to be produced do. Now, we can say that tears, first of all, they help to moisture. We looked at the parts of the eye here. So we have the aqueous, the vitreous hammer and the aqueous hammer. The word aqueous means something which is fluidy. That's why when you study with the chemistry, you get to know something called the aqueous. Aqueous means something which is concentrated. But now in the tears that is produced, we have an enzymes in the eye, which we call the lysozymes. Lysozymes, enzymes is produced from the lysosomes. And we find the lysosomes underneath the tear gland. So that is responsible for the prevention of the foreign body, killing of the bacteria that would enter the eye. The enzymes help to digest away the foreign body. Just imagine, sometimes you'll be walking and the insects enter, and you feel, when they secrete some poisonous substance, you feel the pain, not so? So it is the tears, the enzymes in the tears that helps in digestion of that poison that is released within the eye. So the tears which is released there, as there are some enzymes that help in digestion, that works on that foreign body. And we said it is also makes the eye fluidy, makes the eye moisturized. And another function is that I've given you two major functions, not so? Yeah, so basically that. Then they talked of the pupil, the iris, and we said, how does the iris control the amount of light entering the eye? I remember I told you it is by contraction and relaxation. Are we together? So this is when the iris here construct, the pupil widens up. And when the pupil widens up, much light will be seen. This is during light, right now as you're seeing. This is what is happening. the iris is contracted. And as the muscle supporting that is contracting, the pupil is widening. So as the pupil widens, much of the light will be seen entering. The same applies to this. Now, we see that the pupil has reduced in size. Why has it reduced in size? This is during dim light or darkness. So this one relaxes. The moment the iris relaxes, we see little. We say that there is little or no light. So the pupil becomes smaller. So, and we also see that there is thickness here. There is thickness, and also there is thinness here of the iris. Are we together? So basically, those are the two. So as learners, you must know what happens during construction and relaxation. If they ask you, how does the iris help to reduce the amount of light entering the human eye? So you must tell us what happens. And also you tell us the tears. Of course, they can ask you, what is the function of the tear gland found in the human eye? It is to produce tears. Are we together? At your level, they may not ask you the enzymes we find in the tears, but however, it's a good thing to know. Are we together? Are you being educated? Are you learning something? Yes. Good. That was group 2. Can we appreciate them once again? Yeah, thank you for being precise. Let us once more again welcome group 3 to come and nail. Group 3, you're welcome. You will ask questions later.
Hello everybody, this is group 3. My name is Leta.
My name is Mamonga.
My name is Joy Lin.
These are the members of group 3.
So today we are going to discuss about the similarities and the differences of the human eye and the lens camera. But before we go there, let us first talk about the similar parts of the human eye and the lens camera.
So I'm going to talk about the similar parts in the human eye and in the lens camera. So in the lens camera, we have the camera box that has the similar function as the eyeball in the human eye. In the lens camera, we also have the shutter that has the similar function as the iris in the human eye. In the lens camera, we also have the convex lens that have the similar function as the convex lens in the human eye. Lastly, in the lens camera, we have the film that has the similar function as the retina.
Thank you. Those were the similar parts in the human eye and the camera. Now, let's talk about the similarities. Both use convex lens to work. Both form real images.
In addition to his points, both use light to function, both form upright images, and both use light to form upright images. So now let us go to the differences of the human eye and the lens camera.
So we are going to the differences between the lens camera and the human eye. First, the lenses in the human eye can form a different shape, while in the lens camera, it can't change any shape.
And also in the lens camera, the film is used to project the pictures or to form the images in the lens camera. But in the eye, it's different. The eye uses the retina to form images.
In the human eye, the pupil allows light to enter into the eye.
While in the lens camera, the aperture allows light to enter the lens camera.
And in the human eye, the iris controls the amount of light that enters into the eye.
While in the lens camera, the diaphragm controls the amount of light entering the lens camera.
And in the human eye, the pupil also allows light to enter into the eye.
While in the lens camera, it's the aperture that allows light to enter the human eye.
Thank you. That is all we had to say. I hope you've learned.
Can we clap for them? Make it more sweeter. Clap for them. Clap them again. Yes. I told you, yes, someone asked a question, but before that, I told you when you're here, it is not easy, but we are seeing some confidence being cultivated in them. So they are becoming stronger. Next time you will be pulled. If you are to go for seminars, you see a hall that has over 2,000, 3,000 learners, and you are told to discuss a question. So at least with this number, you're beginning to build. And also, it fashioned the quality of the information you're giving to your learners. Are we together? Yes, sir.
I wanted to correct them because Joy said that the shutter corresponds with the iris, but the shutter corresponds with the eyelids.
And that's very good. And also, the images that are formed on the film and the retina, they are similar, but then the images are real. They are diminished. Diminished means upside down. Diminished means what? Smaller than the objects. The image formed is smaller than the object. Thank you. And also, we see that the images formed there are real. Are we together? So they gave us precisely, maybe to manage the control, because there are still some other things. I'll come back again. And also we have the co-teachers here that can add on and correct. So that's why you see them, they are quiet now. But we are grateful that you are at least getting some content. Let's welcome group 4 to come and give us what they have prepared this glorious afternoon. You're welcome. Group 4 is comprising of 4 gentlemen. Should I say the boys? These are our first grade materials. 4 aggregate. Not 5, not 3. 4. Are you going to get for us? Yes.
Good afternoon, everybody. This group 4, by the name, I'll go by the name Omogoro Difas, and just call
Jezrani Akankwasa.
Eric Luiga.
This is Samuel.
So, as we are in the topic of light, we are going to, for us, this group is going to talk about the eye defects. And first of all, let's start by defining the term eye defects. So what's eye defect?
So eye defect is the inability of the eye to see normally.
Yeah, eye defect is the inability of the eye to see normally. When you cannot see normally, just know you have some eye defects. When like you cannot see far distances, what you cannot see nearby distances. You only see far distances. You only see things that are far from you. You don't see things that are near. Or you can see things that are near, but things far away from you, you cannot see them. Just so you have an eye defect. But now we are going to come to know what eye defect will you have if you see things that are near to you and you cannot see the ones that are far, or when you see the things that are far and you cannot see the ones that are near. So we are going to come to know all that. So now, let's give the examples of the eye defects, all the types.
Short-sightedness.
Odd edge sightedness.
Astigmatism.
Long-sightedness and colorblindness. So, as I said, let's start by long-sightedness. So it's going to tell us about long-sightedness.
So long-sightedness is the condition when a person can see distant objects but cannot see nearby objects. Yes? Have you heard? So we have the things that cause long-sightedness are having thin eye lenses. Having thin eye lenses and having short eyebrows. And one way to correct long-sightedness is by wearing spectacles with convex lenses. Yes? So, we are going to short-sightedness.
Okay, so Eric, thank you for talking about long-sightedness. Now we are going to speak about short-sightedness. What is short-sightedness? So short-sightedness is the condition when the eye, when a person cannot see distant objects, but you see nearby objects. Like when I started before, I told you the eye defects. There's when you see nearby objects, but you cannot see distant objects. Like for example, when somebody is far from me, I cannot identify that person clearly. I may not know who is that. So that when I experience that, I should just know that I have what? Short-sightedness. So now, as the definition I've said, it's a condition when a person cannot see distant objects, but you can see the nearby objects. So that's short-sightedness. So what comes the cause that you get short-sightedness? What causes short-sightedness? Okay. Eric, anything? Short-sightedness, what causes?
One cause of short-sightedness is having long eyeballs and having thick lenses.
Okay. He has said that the causes of short-sightedness, having too long eyeballs and having thick lens. If you have a thick lens, you can get short-sightedness. So, how can we correct short-sightedness? How can we correct short-sightedness? We can correct the short-sightedness by wearing spectacles with concave lenses. Concave lenses, we can correct them by wearing the spectacles with concave lenses. But as we wear those spectacles, how do they correct short-sightedness? There comes the question, as we wear them, how do they correct the short-sightedness we are talking about? So, okay. How do you correct the short-sightedness? How do these spectacles?
The way to correct short-sightedness is by wearing spectacles with concave lenses.
And another question comes, how do concave lenses correct short-sightedness? The answer is, the concave lenses diverge light rays before they reach the before the light rays reach the eye lenses.
So thank you, Eric. As he has told you how the spectacles with concave lenses correct short-sightedness. So I hope you have known what causes short-sightedness and how the short-sightedness is corrected, and how that method of correcting short-sightedness. Okay, like how, as we said, we correct them by wearing spectacles with concave lenses. How do they correct short-sightedness? He has just explained right now. I hope you have understood there. So now we are going to the other eye defects. So let me give my colleague talk about astigmatism.
Astigmatism is the condition when the human eye cannot see vertical and horizontal objects at the same time clearly. And this is caused when the cornea is not in a perfect spherical shape and is not perfectly curved. Let Eric illustrate on the board. Yes, thank you, Eric. These are the uneven and the unevenly curved cornea. It's not curved well, and it's not even. This is commonly found in elderly people, and it can be corrected by wearing cylindrical spectacles.
Okay, as he has talked about astigmatism, so without wastage of time, allow me commence to the old age sightedness.
Old age sight is the condition when the eyes is the condition of the eyes that happens in people who are 60 years and above.
Okay, thank you, Samuel. As old age sightedness is caused, it's a condition that happens to people above 6 years of age. Okay, those people that, normally, I think you can see maybe from our grandfathers, grandmothers, when they reach the age of 60 and above, they start complaining like their sight, like they lose their sight a bit. They don't see clearly, they don't see like distant objects like that. So now, what comes to the cause of this? What causes this is that the loss of elasticity by the, is it the eyelids or what? Yeah, it was the loss. What causes old age sight is the loss of the elasticity by the eye lens. So that's what causes. But I think we can commence the next, which is color blindness. So, as you hear the eye defect, as the pronunciation says, color what? Blindness. So the definition goes by, color blindness is a condition when a person can't colors. Okay, like you cannot differentiate one color or more. This is caused, okay, this is like when you see only one, like for example, you're many here, you're wearing different shirts. But for example, me, if I have that eye defect, I can only see the red color. Of all the colors here, I can only see red objects only. So that when you experience that, just know you have the color blindness. So now, what causes the color blindness? What causes color blindness?
So color blindness, it occurs in the retina due to lack of enough light cells. I think you know the light cells in the eye, yes? They are the rods and the cones, yes? Yes? So that's what we had to say.
Can we clap them for that presentation? You know, one thing that amazes me is that coming to tell the science without a book. But people who are never interested in learning science, usually they are lazy. But I'm so grateful to these learners for all that they have contributed this great afternoon. However, this is the time where we are going to correct a few things that they might have gone astray with, and also to make a summary of what we have been discussing. Are we together? And also we shall be welcoming questions. Like they have handled the eye defects, and we know that the eye defects is a condition when he or she is unable to see normally. They have talked of the long-sightedness, they have talked of the short-sightedness, they have talked of the color blindness, they have talked of the old age sightedness. Are we together? And then basically maybe after that, if we still have some minutes, we shall look at few diseases that attack the eye. So the defects are like the disorders of the eye. So they can twist the question and they ask you, give any one disorder of the human eye. So the moment you see the word disorder, it's the same as the defect. Are we together? Are we together? Maybe to nail up what the group 4 have been discussing, we know that there is a word that I want you to define for me before we go to the defects. The word is accommodation. What is accommodation? The mic is there. Then I give chance to the fellow teachers also to add on or to correct. They might have noticed you. So for us here, we work together. So what is accommodation? Get the mic. What is accommodation?
Accommodation is the ability of the eye to see a near object on the retina.
It is not the retina, but the retina. So class, the word accommodation is the ability of your eye to allow light, to accommodate light for you to see what is near. And they talked, I had loved the way they brought the word astigmatization or astigmatism. I love the way they are brought. The inability of your eyes to see horizontal or vertical objects is that term we call the stigmatization. Are we together? Then, of course, the long-sightedness, we say this is the condition where someone is able to see further distant objects, and the objects which is near, you may not be able to see. That's why sometimes we encourage you, if you have eye problem, please, if you have long-sightedness, go and sit behind. If you have short-sightedness, always come and sit in front. Have you ever had people being told like that? Yes. It is because of that, the eye defect that they have. Are we together? Are we together? They have told us how to correct them. They have told us what causes. So at this point, I would love to, maybe I will make the final clue in the ending part. I would love to throw this to you to ask questions and also to give the fellow teachers chance maybe to correct what they might have noticed, that since it is a discussion, we give room to correct. Please, when you're corrected, we don't say that maybe you didn't know. It is to perfect you. Since we are learning, we know that no one is perfect. Okay? So, fellow teachers of science, I know some of them are not here. I would say, Teacher Deo, if maybe you have noticed something and would have to say, you can take this time, then maybe mark the final clue, and they ask a few questions, and we call it a discussion for this very particular subtopic.
Thank you very much for kind of presentation that you have prepared. I know all this is your effort. So I just applaud you for that. I would like also to thank the learners. Actually, they were confident enough that they were able to elaborate what they have been given in the right manner. Maybe these are some of the questions maybe which sometimes comes into my mind. What could be the cause mainly for the short and long-sightedness? I would like maybe to hear from you, the teacher that has prepared this content, such that really we can understand and then make ourselves ready not to be part of such circumstances. So is there any way that we can avoid or prevent such kind of before it comes? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Teacher Deo. That's a very fundamental question. I appreciate. I don't know if our beloved teacher Diction, if you and also we have our dear those in the house. So is there any question or maybe something you want to say? Then I answer the question and we... Okay. 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 To answer Teacher Deos' question, he has asked what are some of what can cause short-sightedness and long-sightedness, and how do we correct such conditions? This is not only to learn and pass exams, but it is to help you prepare for any other condition that may arise. And first of all, short-sightedness, by definition, the learner said that this is the ability of someone to see nearby objects, but it's not unable to see distant objects. And we have seen the causes, and we said what could be the possible causes of short-sightedness. And the learners, basing on the learners because they were right, the causes of short-sightedness, number one, is when the eyeballs are too long. So when the eyeballs become too long, there's a possibility that there may be hindrance of you seeing things that are far. But because they are longer, the light will be converged and you'll be able to see nearby objects. And if here in short-sightedness, when the eyeballs are long, that means that the lenses will be thin. Are we together? Whereas for long-sightedness, here, if The cause here is because of long eyeball. Then for long-sightedness could be because of shorty eyeballs. Are we together? This one is just the opposite of other. The clarity here is that the cause of short-sightedness, the one we said it is due to the long eyeballs, and then also the thin eye lens. But for long-sightedness, it's because of the shorty eyeballs and thicky eye lenses. Those are the possible causes. And therefore, this learner has told us that there is a possibility if someone has got these eye defects or these eye disorders, there are some of the possibilities that we can correct. There is a way that we can correct. And basically, the science creates two mediums that we use for correcting. We have the concave lens and the convex lens. Now, a simple question is, between the two, which lens is used for correcting short-sightedness? Yes? You. Give us, don't wait. I want to explain something.
Concave lens.
The concave lens. Why do you say? So short-sightedness, my fellow teacher asked, if you have short-sightedness, for you to correct it, you must use the concave lens. And why do we use concave lens? We see that if we have our concave lens here, this is our lens. The major reason why we use spectacles with the concave lens is because the concave lens helps us to diverge. It diverges the light rays before they are formed on the retina. So therefore, you will be able to see things which are nearer and further. By that we say we would have corrected it. You would have corrected it. Short-sightedness. Then the opposite of this is for the long-sightedness, we use what is called the convex lens. And what does the convex lens do? The convex lens helps to converge light before they are formed. When the light is refracted after the pupil, before they reach before the image is formed on the retina, now the light has to be converged after refraction, and so you are able to see images which are near and far. So there we say after it has been corrected, your eye is now functioning normally. Are we together? Then we talked of the color blindness. We have people who cannot distinguish between one or more colors. Why? Because of the color blindness defect that they have. And basically, this has become a challenge in even schools. We have learners which have been ignored because they have this defect, but the schools or the teachers who are not concerned, especially maybe in government schools or in other schools. So this is a major defect also that need to be checked on. So, color blindness, you are unable to distinguish. Yes. Yes.
Are bulls also colorblind?
Bulls? Yes. Those animals? Yes. Okay, that's a good question. Now, one thing I want you to know, when you are dealing with the eye, we have to know that the eye has photoreceptors, right? The photoreceptors, I mean the light cells, which we call them the rods and the cones. We have two major parts that play these roles with these eye photoreceptors. We have the fovea and we have the cornea. So when you talk of the bulls, are they able to see? Yes. The bulls are able to see because of these photoreceptors, but if in case anything happens to their eyes, maybe the light photoreceptor cells are destroyed, there may be blindness automatically. And the same way, since they are mammals like you, the same way you're seeing, there could be a possibility. There are some abnormal way that comes in. So they may also be undergoing colorblind. Yes, it is true that they undergo colorblind. It is a defect that is common with the mammals. Yes, sir.
Can someone correct color blindness?
Can someone correct color blindness? A question?
They can't correct color blindness.
they can't correct color blindness. As I told you, the inability, it could have been abnormal. We have people who are born when they are not seeing. We have people after maybe infections or any problem of body in the eyes and the light, the optic nerves are destroyed. They become colorblind. We have old age, and the old age also affects 60 and above. Most of them sometimes because of other things that maybe they did a lot of chemicals in the body affect the eye receptors, they become colorblind. So the answer is colorblindness can never be corrected, but only the defects like the short-sightedness and long-sightedness, astigmatization, some of them can be corrected. Yes, so with all this, is there any other question? Maybe, or we nail it up.
Just why I raised such a question. The main point here was, I say most of the times, it is these days where things have changed a little bit, but it was always common that people who are grown up, 35 and above, are the ones you could find with such kind of challenges in their lives, unlike these days. Because these days you find even a child of 10, 12, surely really is having spectacles, where we see that rate is quite different from what we used to go through, which was not of our case. So that's why I was asking, but how comes that really you find when he was young, at a younger age, he was able to see properly, all things were clear, but as approaching 60s, 40s there, then most of the times these ones who have read books, you find that such things come and you find that really they have changed their way of lifestyle.
Okay, thank you. Maybe just say, so we are in modern world and every young Ugandan citizen would want to cope up. So some of them maybe because of too much exposure into the world, they begin putting on those lenses, not knowing that they are destroying their optic nerves and the photoreceptors in the eye. So after some time, they develop the eye defects, and which may even result into blindness. So this is an advice to a young person here. Avoid putting on lenses if you are not sick, if you're not having eye defect. So time has gone. This was a discussion, and I would love to. There's a question? Okay. Maybe one, and we close the chapter.
What causes a person to be born without eyes?
What causes the person to be born without eyes? Now, that is genetic issues. It's a genetic problem. Of course, we have what we call the DNA. We have the codings, and we have the codons. We have the chromosome. That is a genetic issue that can affect both the vision and other systems in the body. So for now, we can leave that. I want to close this so that it is not prolonged, like not a discussion. Yes?
Why is it that when you wear spectacles that you get eye defects? Why? Like when you wear spectacles.
So, like we said, those spectacles have got lenses, and we said we have the convex lens and the concave lens. The concave lens, what it does is that it diverges the light rays after it has been refracted to the retina. By that, so much of it will keep on accumulating in the retina, and at the end, because of the nerve extensions that are within the vitreous armor, it will get destroyed with the time. That's why you begin to feel pain and you see some fluid coming out. Why? Because the lens there is being improperly used. You are normal, but you're putting on a spectacle with the lenses. So with that accumulation of the image in the retina, will destroy the optic nerves, will destroy the photoreceptors which we have there, and it destroys the normal functioning. Like the ciliary body, as there are some blood vessels that supply the blood to the eye, that supplies the digested food to the eye. All those nerves will be cut off, will be destroyed, and so you begin to have an eye problem. And now it is worse if diseases like conjunctiva, the iritis, the trachoma, all of them, we have the glaucoma. If all of them attack you, you become blind. So thank you. Thank you. Can we end this? Yes, so at this point, I would love to, in a special way, welcome our DOS to come and nail up this discussion. Thank you very much. Can we clap as we welcome him? So,
thank you. Chair Gilbert, allow me to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has attended this discussion. Actually, I've loved the discussion. It has reminded me about what I learned some 50 years ago. Now, when I say 50 years ago, some people are laughing. The time I learned long-sightedness, it was way back, and I'd forgotten them. Thank you for reminding me, and I've now seen that we are at far. And I want to take this opportunity to encourage you that we are in science world, and everybody, you have to embrace the culture of science. Are we together? So, for those people, when the discussion is on and they don't know what they are discussing, please keep reminding yourselves, okay? Don't just sit there and enjoy. Allow me to thank teachers of science and mathematics for their endeavors. I would like to encourage you, and I want to say that I will be behind you in case you need more discussions. Please, we shall always providing for you like equipment to be used, like machines if you are needed. We can work out it with the Dennis. So Dennis, also thank you very much for giving us opportunity to embrace science world. There is no way you can live without science in you. Even me, sometimes I walk science, but I don't know that I walk with science. I do certain things, but I don't understand. But I'm practicing what? Science. But when you come, I told you that my subject I teach is also integrated. So sometimes you find I teach science, but I don't know that I'm teaching what? Science. I think the world has gone beyond. And as I told you, our years, we were not aware of what we are doing. It was minimal. It was not very serious like these days. But I thank God that the trend we are taking, few years to come, we shall have very many doctors in Uganda because of the science. And I want us to change the environment of Farm Found when it comes to science in the rest of the years to come. God has blessed us with machine, and we are going to amplify our science world. So I want to encourage you, feel free. When it comes to discussions, let members discuss. Don't fear anybody. Don't fear anybody. I just want to make an announcement. P6, P7, tonight, the other time we agreed. Okay? Borders, you leave your chairs here. Maybe the scholars, you can take them the other side. But if you're going to attend the preps, you leave your